We have here verse 9 of the 15th chapter of the Gospel of John, in which Jesus is in the process of this rather detailed commissioning of his disciples and assuring them, of course, that as he sends them forth to change the world, they're not going off on their own, but they are going to be in an intimate fellowship with Christ through the person of the Parakletos, the Holy Spirit, that indeed God himself in the fullness of the Trinity, as Jesus has said earlier, is going to be indwelling them, making their situation, of course, infinitely superior even to that which they enjoyed when they were there in the immediate presence of the human Christ. And now Jesus really gives what is even a more remarkable statement in connection with all of these somewhat astonishing statements as we come to verse 9. So we have a kathos. Conjunction means just as. So just as agapesen, from agapao, I love. This is a contract verb. This is the third person singular, aorist active indicative. So just as he loved, and then the direct object of that is the accusative, singular, first person pronoun, just as he loved me. We have the additional accent there, of course, before an enclitic. Just as he loved me, and then the subject of that verb, ho pater, the Father. So just as the Father loved me, and of course when we hear that phrase, we're immediately impressed with the idea that there could be no greater love we could imagine than the love that the Father has displayed to the Son. This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased. Of course, we have that kind of statement there. And that makes even more staggering than the following statement. So just as the Father loved me, kago, combination, of course, of kai and ego, I also, and then humas, second person accusative plural pronoun, I also, you, agapesa. Notice this is exactly the same word. There's no diminution in the intensity of it. This is simply the first person singular aorist active indicative. So just as the Father loved me, I also have loved you. Can you imagine that? That it's really saying that this same intensity that the Father's love for the Son is displayed becomes the measure by which Christ declares that he loves those who belong to him. It's really so amazing that it almost defies any attempt to imagine the significance of that. And so then Christ says, meneta, from meno, I remain or I abide. This is the second person plural, an active imperative, so it's a command, remain. And of course the command there to remain is going to be a command to remain in that same love. So in te, the dative singular article with the feminine noun agape, remain in the love, and then adding emphasis to it, the te eme, the of me love, putting it in a more emphatic form. So just as the Father loved me, I also have loved you. You have this idea that there's a parallel between the Father's love for the Son and the Son's love for those who belong to him, and now the command to remain in, which really is simply a way of saying that as you go into the business of living out this Christian adventure, whatever it may involve, you must always be aware that you are doing so not independent of the immediate presence and the intensely personal affection, the love that Christ has for you, which translates into his presence, into his protection, into the wisdom that he gives, of course, all of those things that were in fact the very benefits that Jesus himself derived from having been loved as he was by the Father.